Hello people, this is Jon Speelman with my next fortnightly column for Chess Space, and I've entitled it The Joy of Hacking. Could have been hackery. And I'm just going to check before I do anything else that I am recording, because if I'm not, this will be a waste of time. So you will for a moment see a silly screen, and I am recording. Good. So what I started, it's something I've said before, it's generally agreed that with perfect play a game of chess ought to end in a draw. Lots of inverted commas in that. And a white win is pretty unlikely, and a black win, the idea it's decisive Zugzwang is extremely unlikely. Though I don't think there's any mathematical proof of that. So the margin of error is quite large, and for a really strong player to lose something, they have to make quite a lot of mistakes, or a couple of serious mistakes perhaps. And you can put that under pressure through long positional manoeuvring and determined endgame play, which is Magnus Carlsen's normal shtick, or by violent tactical means, hackery, that's another one. So, hacking, hackery, I use them interchangeably. And I said scratch almost any strong chess player, and beneath possibly very placid exterior, likes playing positionally, likes making small advantages, you'll find somebody who can play tactics really violently, a sleeping hacker I've called him, and a player reveling in tactics, violent tactical battles, especially if they are in their favour. I mean, they'll also have a mode in which they start swindling. Somebody like Anatoly Karpov has certainly got a fantastic swindle mode. And so I'm going to look at today at the joy of hackery, and I'm choosing one of the most complicated games I ever played, and then at the end I've added one which happened last night as I'm recording, in fact. And it was in the 1975 British Championship in Morecambe, when I was still 19 and not yet even an IM. I consulted Jon Saunders' excellent Brit base. If you're British and you want to find British tournaments, then I've given the URL, and it was in the 9th of the 11 rounds. I had no idea which round it was in, of course. I played against Tony Miles, I was white against him, and he would be Britain's first ever grandmaster the following year. And, well, Tony wound me up with an opening which was then unfamiliar, the English defence, though later I played it a lot myself throughout my career. And I got a position where I got a little bit panicky. I first started off thinking, oh, I like this position a lot. I've got a lovely centre. Then I thought, oh, you can attack my centre. And eventually I went into full hack mode within a couple of moves. And the game is violent and indeed rather hysterical at times. Both players are very near the edge. So I've annotated it. It was first annotated for the chess player. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember who wrote that. Somebody can tell me. I thought it was not Nottingham it was made in. It's a defunct anyway. Then I redid it for my Best Games book about 1997, or which came out in 1997. I've got a copy here. Excellent book, obviously. And I found one on my shelf eventually. And then I've redone it now. So 1997 engines, well, the engines I could get my hands on were sort of Fritz 2 or 4. They're now sort of in the dozens, aren't they? And I've used this year the modern crop, and I happen to use Houdini mainly. And then I've said we'll continue in a fortnight with some more recent examples of extreme violence at the board. So let's now go to my game with Tony. Go into Chess Space. And this is column 133, Speelman Miles, British Championship 1975. There's quite a lot of it, as you can see. So I've reiterated some of what I've just said in the main introduction, and I'm going to turn it round. No, I'm white, of course. C4, B6. Because it was an English defence, I thought I must be black for a second. Knight C3. And then there are a couple of games with a quick Queen H4 which mine followed, and then I'm just going to, I've got a misprint here as usual for followed, F-O-L-L-O-W-E-D. Yes, I can spell that word. Right. And So these were much later. There's what I've tried to do to navigate through this massive of variations. I've tried to label diagrams to say where they come from, because I've previously found that I see a diagram and I want to reach it, and I have no idea really how to get there in the massive annotations. Anyway, this is a game. I was black. I'm going to turn it round, which bishop b7 actually is not, probably you shouldn't go bishop b7 at once, because of a3, e6, d5 is certainly somewhat dangerous. So normally they go e6, but okay. This isn't the birth of these variations. Knight d2 was played rather than knight c3. I had a game with John Quinn in the zonal tournament in Dublin, and it happened that we were actually following obviously I wanted to play to win, so I didn't repeat moves. And we reached this position, which apparently had already been played in Korchnoi, in Polugowski Korchnoi. And of course I knew there'd been a game in their candidates match, but I didn't know it was exactly this position. I went long, Viktor Lvovich went short. They're both very playable. I'll show you my game is. I think if he takes, I recapture, and presumably bad things are alleged to be about to happen on d4. A lot of hacking, as I said. Now, of course, I keep the queens on because I'm attacking. Knight e7 is a good move. Knight g6, cutting the rooks. That bishop takes knight, queen h1 mate, and now he's in deep trouble. That's a good move, I think. I mean, this was near my peak, so I was a strong player at this point. Here, knight h4, hitting f3, king to there. Presumably, if queen g3, there's probably knight h5, isn't there? And queen f4, perhaps knight takes f3. Queen f4, I'm not so sure. Oh, maybe I can go knight g4 check and rook takes f3 check. So let's just do... Did I just say queen g3, then this move clearly wins. That's the end of the game, presumably. I'm just wondering if you can go rook g8 there. Pretend he has a position, knight takes, queen takes, and king takes knight. I suppose you could try this. I don't know if knight h5 is best. That's the best I can see. Take here, because it covers e4. Now probably knight to there is necessary, and presumably I'm winning, but well, I mean I must be winning. But I thought, is bishop e4 going to be a nuisance? Not really, because queen h4 is happening, or queen g1 or something. And it's clearly going to be a winning position for black, if a little bit messy. I don't know if there's a better move than knight h5, but that would have done. And the other one I saw was queen f4, knight g4 check. Again, he could take it with the rook. If he takes with the queen, I'm presuming that something very bad happens. But maybe not. Maybe this is nonsense. Yes, no, it isn't, is it? I go check, and here, and check, and something, and check. So that worked, and we'll replace it. Anyway, he didn't do that. He allowed queen f3 check. My knights got in. Now I'm attacking with a queen and a knight, and a rook. I mean, there's just too many boys. And here he resigned because he's getting mated. And Victor's ended up in an ending which he also won as black. Right, well, let's go back to knight c3, bishop b7, e4, e6, d4. I mean, you can play a3 in these positions as well. Bishop b4, queen c2. f3 is the critical move, and nowadays f5 pawn takes pawn, knight h6 is critical. Matthew Sadler's won some great games against this. Obviously, long after 1997, there might be improvements for black as well. Bishop d3, f5. Okay, so queen here takes. I mean, much later than these queen h4-y type things got explored. I think Tony might even have suggested queen h4 in the post-mortem. He played this one, Well, this was the critical position where I got excited. I mean, I know there's lots of stuff with Queen H4. I thought he's going to play F5. I don't like this, which is pretty hysterical reaction, really, to this position. I mean, I could go Bishop D3, F5, F3 or something, and get my pieces out, and I'm clearly not going to have a bad position. I may not have a fantastic... But anyway, I played H4. I had a good long think and played H4. Do I have clock times? I may do in my book. Let me just have a look in my book because I'm interested. Yeah, is this... wrong one, is it? This is Polgar JS I'm looking at here, which is one where I was black, Juja Polgar. I splattered in the game. I mean, she beat me the first time we played, but that time I splattered her. No clock times, no, sorry. I don't have them. That's a shame, I'm not there. So the point of this is that F5, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, bishop G5 is stupid now. So I've certainly stopped F5 for one move. F5, pawn takes pawn is less positionally based, I would say. It's also possible. And obviously it's not the only move. If I go back and ask an engine, let's ask an engine, Houdini, and it's saying bishop D3. What does it think about F5? F5, it wants to go knight F3, and it does not like it. Castles, basically if take, knight C6, D5 blows you away. Take, it's really important that black can't play this because almost certainly D5 will win some material, and white has a huge attack, and that's important. Is too quick for black. Sorry, I'll spell quick correctly while we're at it. And so taking is probably wrong, dubious. And if he doesn't take, then it's okay. So I could just have gone knight F3 if I'd been less hysterical, but I went H4, castles, rook H3. Remember, I was not yet an IM. Now, rook H3 is an unpinned move, so if F5 takes, knight takes, you can go bishop G5 and G4, I presume was my idea. And you're kicking the horse quickly. Whether that's very wonderful, who knows. Anyway, he went D6, I went bishop D3. I don't know if that's a particularly good move. Yeah, I quite like H5 actually, and the reason for that is to make well, it threatens H6 probably, and if E5, maybe you can go G4 if you're very brave. Is G4 just too much? Am I going to get blown away by some horror? No, the engine's not saying. See, I thought, can black now start doing bad things to me? And I mean, this is all positionally based. I mean, knight to there, bishop E2 is being given, queen E8. Some point I'll go F3, H5 stops knight G6, the game continues. I quite like this actually. Okay. Anyway, none of this is that relevant because we got to... So I continued E5 and then I played F4. Sorry, we'll turn it around again, of course. Sorry, I'm taking black because I am an English defence player nowadays, mainly. It's my main opening, really, almost. Hello, Pussycat. Hello, you can come and talk to us if you like. Want to come and talk to us? Come and talk to my viewers. This is Ginny, who is very beautiful, are you not? Right, so F4, very aggressive, and Tony played, didn't have to, he could have done other things, he played F5, which is a move fighting for the white squares. Lots of other moves were possible. I took it and he took on D4. E4 was interesting. E4 takes, knight 3 C6, unclear. G4 allows H5. H5 is a better move, safeguarding the white squares. Rook takes F5, H6. And white is clearly better, Houdini. Okay, the line I gave was G4, H5, and this is why you want to have played H5. because although you're playing absolutely violent chess, that doesn't mean that the positional side of the game shuts down. It just becomes that much more urgent, really. And so h5 is a great move because it attacks the white squares, and suddenly white is in big danger, I think. I gave this line. And now the engine wants to go knight takes e3, queen f2, which was my suggestion, isn't so good. There's a queen checks, king h7, and the lovely queen h1 check, which I don't think I saw in my previous notes. Let's go back, and after e takes d4, I recaptured. Now, I thought later maybe I should have gone h5, and the reason for this is to protect the white squares. It's to set up g4 so that if you play g4 and you get away with it, then you're really safeguarding your kingside phalanx. And of course you're going to be attacked in the centre by black. Black is going to try to checkmate you, very reasonably. But you have a rook that can come over to e3 to defend things, knight that can come to e2 to block, and it might have been a good idea. And actually, I suggested it in my Best Games book, and Houdini liked it as well. He wanted to go h6, and now you can recapture if you want to, or you can play g4. And basically you're recapturing allows knight c6, which is a problem because of queen c3 the f5 pawn goes. So you go g4, and you've kept your phalanx. And it's just, you know, it's a mess, but it's, the engine is saying knight a6, is it? To go to c5. And bishop, who knows? It's a complete mess, but I do like the long white diagonal from b2 to g7. I think it's going to open, and if it does open, I'm going to be a happy bunny in terms of trying to attack the guy. So cd4, knight c6, queen c3, d5. Nice move, white squared move, taking the white squares. I went knight f3, I don't know if that's a good move, g4, h5 again, f6, rook takes, g5, check. And this position, the white squares look foul, and the engine is unsurprisingly giving it as minus plus. I mean, you know, as I said, I make positional judgments. The fact that I'm hacking doesn't mean that I'm not playing positionally. I'm in some ways playing uber positionally, because I'm trying to, by the way, if queen f3, knight a5 threatens knight e3 check, or threatens knight takes bishop, I'm wondering vaguely about queen f3, knight a5, queen h5, but probably can play g6 there, and maybe you can go knight takes bishop, g6, rook g6, and start attacking on the white squares, and things might just go out of hand. So I was looking at this move. There's also knight d4, isn't it? It just looks foul, actually. I'm not even gonna, I'm going to delete the remaining moves. Okay, we go back. I played knight f3, knight takes f5, and by now I was in absolute hacker mode. So I check, could maybe have gone to f2, but it's going to be on prise to a knight e4 check maybe later. I went to d1. I took, didn't have much choice, I think, and I played queen c2. And Tony believed me. I didn't really believe myself at this stage, I think, but I thought I'd better get on with it and pretend I was attacking. What the engine says is unclear is optimistic with black ignores the threat, so h6 and h5, knight takes d5, check here, knight to there, and I didn't at the time see knight takes f4, takes, I don't know what the threat is, no, is it hitting the rook, take, and if check here, here, queen d7. And this is, I mean, you can look at the assessments over there, but basically you can see, I don't know if queen a4 check is also a good move. I'd certainly be considering that. Queen a4 check given about the same. Yeah, I mean, I think queen a4 check is more likely. New main line, king e1, rook f8. And this is a disaster for white. I mean, too many loose pieces. Even if it's playable, and in practice you get kicked in one way or another. I think rook c1 looks the most normal move. Bishop b7 is being given, and rook takes c7, queen b4 check, and some some line where you win a pawn, win some material. I'll show you the line it's giving. And Houdini, and the main line continues. I'm taking a while on this, aren't I? This is probably going to be nearly an hour, this broadcast, because it's a really interesting game. Bishop b7, that's not an easy move. Rook takes c7, and now some bad things. Check. Queen d2 being given, so check. Queen d1, important to have got the queen c1, then queen e4 check, sorry. So queen c1, queen d1, sorry, if queen d1, queen e4 check, splat, presumably. Knight e2 or something, queen g2. It just isn't conscionable that this position is pliable. Queen c1, take it, take this, and black should win. Let's go back. He, fortunately for me, I'm so unclear as my. He played king h8, and now I get a tempo to play knight e5. Long variations here. Let's just see if we have a diagram down here. Analysis after knight dy. This one I'm proud to say I got right. Good heavens. So let's find out what it was. Knight d5, h5 takes, knight g6 check. And this is a draw by perpetual check, apparently, which is not a big surprise. I mean, it's the sort of thing that happens in lines like this. I know it was very quick. Shall I do it again quickly? So h5, take, knight g6 check, which I think is necessary. Queen to there, hitting the rook, check, have to start hacking. Check is the only move, actually. It's saying that king e3... yeah, king e3, rook f3 check. I did find this, yeah. I mean, these are just the moves you have to play. There's nothing to be done. You know, that sometimes games you just have to play the moves. I mean, there are no other moves to consider, really. And this ends in perpetual check. Okay, so that would have been good, but he went knight f7, which is less good. It's a bit submissive. h5, getting on with it. Yeah, I don't want to take that pawn. I wanted to do things. He took. I don't know if that's a good move. What does the engine say? Still happy, actually. It says it says now something I didn't consider. g5 takes here. Yep. And now queen d7. And now so wait a minute, so we go back. So queen d7 was the wrong move. So knight takes d5, g takes h6, and now the tremendous move rook g8. And apparently, or rook f7, and apparently that is equal. But he went queen d7, which is actually the losing move. He's letting me do stuff. e6, defending the rook against queen g4 check, and now I get an h6. And now I have a diagonal and 3/4. Rook f6. This is the best try. If rook fd8, then I can just do this. Can I? And he gets splatted. I mean, rook takes d3 is not going to help. If queen takes e6, then I spent a long time looking at queen c3, but the right thing to do is to open the diagonal. Have to go king f7, because, okay, queen d2, king d2 opens the e-file. you don't want him. You don't want to chase him to e8 until you can kill him. And there's a nice line that goes like this: Rook f5, d5, check, check. So if king d7, you just play rook d4. King f7, you play queen checks, and yeah, you just go here, check, here, queen c3, and if queen takes, check. That's what I can see and hear. Okay, so these, yeah, queen takes e4 I gave, check here, takes, takes, takes. And the analysis ends here because the two bishops and two protected passed pawns win trivially. So this is what happened in the game. Rook takes f4. After this white wins quite easily since the rook turns out to be loose to let queen c7 check. Queen e6. Rook e6 is the best move. f5. I saw rook c6, which actually is not any good. I believe rook c6, you go queen e2. Rook c1, that's a great move. The reason you do that, you want to swap the rook to play rook takes h7. And you're mating him. You had to stop a lateral defence by rook h6, so that's why you played rook c1. And that just, in fact, is winning. Let's go back. I have to find, I'm now lost, of course, in my, I'm going to go right up to here, actually. Rook takes f4. So he should have gone rook e6. Actually, the engine says bishop g7, which I just didn't consider. It's not a move you consider because, okay, maybe you're winning. Maybe you can move the bishop and play h7 somehow and win, but it's so nerve-wracking being attacked in this way. I wouldn't really consider this. He played this, and the game... There's one more line somewhere. There's rook e4, and there's this amazing line. This, of course, is an engine. Nothing to do with me, Gov. Beautiful line. Let's just do it again. So you just go f6. Knight g6. Rook takes e4. I don't know if he goes knight g6 at once, what we play. Just rook h5, it says. That's interesting. It's a nice square for a rook, isn't it? Queen e6, queen, and basically it's saying that you're going to get a winning attack, but it's not obvious to me at all. I can't assess this position at all. I mean, I know I'm winning on the king's side, but it's not clear to me I'm not being mated without thinking about it. Queen e6, rook f5. Good heavens, I mean, that's not a move I considered either. King f7 necessary. Rook e1 check didn't help. And now queen takes c7 check, of course. Okay, I mean, these lines are really, really hard. Let's go back to the game and what actually happened. He played rook f4. And now I win rather easily because I go king c1, unpinning, and there is horror on the diagonal. Bishop d5 clearly didn't help, did it? Did bishop d5 and... Oh, I stay a rook up, sorry, I can't count. And now this move just wins. Otherwise it would be a fight, perhaps, but probably not. I could go check and rook takes rook and rook f1 and then e7 and rook f8. And... well, no. If I went here, here, takes, here, then there is a way to fight a bit. The only move to fight is this one, to stop e7, and Now maybe, can I go check and rook f6, king g7 at g5? Probably that works. If I go here, here, g5, then probably I'm winning, but it's a bit complicated. He's going to set up connected passed pawns like this or something, and the game is still continuing. I mean, I think clear I should be winning, but a mess. But rook f1 was much better. Excuse me. And he resigned. So I said, perhaps the most complicated game of my life. It was far too difficult to play really accurately at the board, and even when I analysed it later in detail, with some help from early engines, I left gaps which I've now attempted to plug. The most important lesson is one which is simple to state, though hard to implement well at the time. Once you start hacking and reach the point of no return, you have to keep going. There's no point in looking for consolidation when the board is awash with lava. And okay, the board, I didn't say the board is on fire, because that's Alexei Shirov's patent. Well, not patent, it's a great name of a game. Right, I'm going to save this. And then I happened, I'm going to show you another game. Because I stream nowadays at twitch.tv/Jon Speelman, I watch other people streaming and think about it and try to improve what I do. And I think something I will do is maybe to do online real-time surgeries. So the Agony column, but in real time, with people talking if they will, not if they won't. Up to them whether they use text or video or audio or video. I'll think about that. And obviously, if I get some more subscribers, I'll try to prioritise subscribers. Anyway, that's an idea. But I happened to be watching a simul last night as I talk. It's now Wednesday, where Benjamin Bock, the Dutch grandmaster, was giving a simul, and most of the games he was just playing blah, blah, blah and winning. I was interested. He gave himself 10 minutes plus 40 seconds a move. I'd have thought 20 plus 10 minutes plus 40 seconds. 20 plus 20 would be a bit tougher, but it depends on the number of bods, obviously. And he happened to play this very interesting game. So I'm going to show it to you quickly. We'll do it from Black's point of view again. We're being given a simul against. And this guy is 2000 player, apparently, on the platform where it was being given. This is just a normal variation. You can put either, you can do different things with your rooks as white. He did this. Okay. And the guy played bishop h2 check. Now I don't know, he may have missed that the king could go to g3. People do. I mean, you have to go to g3, because after queen h4, if you start moving your white squared bishop, presumably it doesn't work, does it? I haven't thought about it. Oh, no. There are some horrid things that can happen, I think. So, I mean, Bock had a previous game with this, where he was playing, who was he playing? Not Sam Shanklin, that's a different game. He was playing Smirnov, wasn't he? I thought. Yeah, let's go down to it. It doesn't really matter. And he against Pavel Smirnov. Is it Pavel Smirnov? And he lost it eventually. And that game isn't that important. But the important thing is that he looked at this and he knew bishop h2 didn't work. He actually lost that game as 2, though he won this one, because he missed some of the tactics. Though when he had a good look, the engine said this is okay. So check. So I presume king g1. I haven't even looked at king g1, but I'm assuming king g1. Oh no, actually you can go king g1, can you? In that case you ought to. I mean, it's an easier thing to do, especially in a simul. Now if you go check and rook e3, then unfortunately white has king d2, which is essential. So if check here takes, then the guy goes king d2 rather than getting mated in one move. That's a pretty easy variation. New variation 2 question marks. Queen takes there. And after bishop d3, what's the engine giving? It's giving rook d6. And actually it's saying that this is good for black, which is interesting. Promote variation. Apparently good for black. Houdini. And it's clear that this is dangerous anyway, but you don't know. Now this is a nightmare actually in a simul, because the one thing you don't want your opponents to do is to attack you, because now he has to calculate. I mean, f4 is the natural move, queen h5. Now he took, which actually is the right move, and here he played rook takes d8. Let's go to this diagram. Maybe I'm going to put this on replay training, and let's do this. And the guy, so white played rook takes d8. Perhaps people might be able to work out why this is a mistake, and the question is, what's white's best move? This is very difficult actually. You might be able to work out why rook takes d8 is a mistake though. That is something that is possible to do if you think outside the box for a moment. Let's go back to it. Pause this if you want to and have a little think, otherwise I'm going to show you the answer. So the right move is in fact e4 and g5, and the engine is giving this line, which is rather complicated. You don't go king takes knight because of queen checks, bishop b5 check, causing a major accident. But you go back. Sorry. Excuse me, e4. Knight takes d1, queen takes e4, king g1, and white has a winning attack. The bishop on b2 is going to cause a major incident in the very near future. It's absolutely foul for black because of that. If black had a pawn on g7, he'd be absolutely fine, but because he doesn't, he's losing. I should go back through that again. Knight takes d1, exclam. Let's even remove queen takes d1, delete variation, g1, or certainly win some material. I mean, I don't need to see the details to know this is going to be a catastrophe total, because you've got a horse coming in as well. The knight's going in via f2 somewhere unpleasant. Maybe to g4 at some moment it can't be taken. You're just attacking with too many lumps. Okay, so rook takes d8 was played. The guy got the first bit right, h5, and now he played g6, which is a mistake. I thought, oh, that's good, but I'd missed myself when I was watching for an instant. I assume I would have seen an instant later. That he now gets the h6 square, which means he's winning. I don't know if you can try king h7. It's the only thing I can see to give any chance. Of course, you've still got f6, haven't you? So you can probably go rook e8, and if you start checking, the king can go out via e7 or via f7. But the correct move here is the beautiful deflection bishop d7 check, which deflects the rook. You have to take it, and now you're not threatening rook takes rook check. You just close the net. I actually saw this a little bit later. I watched this simul. It's 2 in the morning. I thought this is an interesting game. Did black miss anything? Started to get into bed. Was still wide awake and thought, oh, bishop d7 wins, as it does. Or I thought, does it win? Do I have the right position? I did. I saw queen h4 actually, but queen g3 is also perfectly good. Let's have queen h4. I saw you're threatening g6 mate, which is glorious. And you're also threatening queen g4 mate, and well, okay, queen g3 is the move actually given by an engine, and now queen g4 mate or queen g6 mate happen next move, but I'd rather play g6 mate myself. I think it's a prettier way to do it. So this was what actually happened. Was after g6 check, of course, white is totally winning. because he's got a winning attack under the dark squares, and the king is very happy on h6, thank you. And white took a lot of pieces, and it threatens queen f8 mate, but it ain't difficult to stop. King f8, I don't know what you do. Anything really. You want to try to tee up to play not queen e4, because the queen takes queen, bishop a3, queen e7. You want to tee up to play bishop a3 mate, but you're clearly winning completely. I mean, you have a winning attack. I'd quite like to go king h7, king h8, and then tee up to play knight h7 mate, but I'm sure there are better ways to do it. Anyway, a very nice attacking game. He actually went, well, a very nice, interesting battle. The guy just took the queen, because you do when you're giving a symbol, and he won. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. It was on the joy of hacking, or the joy of hackery, whichever you want to call it. And the important, well, there are a couple of important lessons, I suppose, if I'm going to be didactic. One is that once you've pulled the trigger, once you've gone past the point of no return, you must keep on attacking. You can't try to consolidate, not unless you're very lucky anyway. Normally you just have to try playing hacking moves. And the other is that hacking is positional. When I look at a position, I notice the white squares and I say, well, this must be bad, because the white squares are a complete bloody wreck. And so although I'm looking at very violent moves, I'm also actually thinking very positionally. I'm thinking, how do I get my pieces into play? How do I improve things? So actually, although it's very violent, it's also controlled, or it should be, as much as possible. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll be back in a fortnight. I'll find I've got at least one really violent game lined up from a few weeks ago, which was actually not online. It was played in, well, I'll produce it when I produce it. The rabbit will jump out of the hat. And I also, depending on the annotations here, on Wesley So's game yesterday against, was it Sam Shankland? Yeah, it was, I think. Another very violent game. Then I may produce my own annotations to that. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in a fortnight. Cheers.